Thank you very much for taking the time to view the version 12 release of your Sage 300 Construction and Real Estate. My name is Linda Peterson, and joining us will be Don Pernay, and we will be splitting up the portions of the presentation for you this morning. I just have a few housekeeping items. We're going to be recording these presentations, and they will be made available on our website. So if you would please hold questions till the end. I'm going to be muting everyone so that if you have a question, you want to be able to use the chat feature within your GoToMeeting. And in that dialog box, you'll see on the bottom, you'll see a plus sign in chat, and that will allow you to type in a question and send your questions to Dom. If you want to get rid of the GoToMeeting dialog box, on the top there's a red arrow pointing to the right. Click on that, and that will minimize the dialog box. Again, we appreciate your time, and so I'm going to try to keep us to an hour. And if we have any questions, we'll take the questions at the end of the session. Today's agenda, we're going to talk about the product strategy, aka also known as the rebranding of the product. Your Sage Timberline Office has now become Sage 300 Construction and Real Estate. We're going to talk about Sage's market strategy. Then we'll go into the changes to your accounting and project management in this release, and then the changes in document management. The product strategy, the rebranding. A lot of people have come up with the questioning as to why the name change. And basically, the answer is pretty simple. Sage is an international corporation, and they wanted to change the name of all of their products to be more in line with their corporate naming conventions. So we are going to be known as Sage 300 Construction and Real Estate. We are a major portion of a major presence in the mid-market strategy for Sage, and as such, they wanted to keep our name in alignment with that. The version numbering. A lot of people have also questioned. We've gone from, if they've missed something, the last release was 9.8, now we're at 12.1. And again, the answer is simple. All we have done here is align the version numbering with the year of release. So now we know that version 12 came out in 2012. This release was first issued in early December. And we did a controlled release, and most of you received it in January or February, but it was actually initially released in December, so hence the name 12X. One thing I want to also point out is that the installation routine is unchanged, even though this is a major enhancement, and you'll see a lot of all the new features that they've added to this version. Installation is remaining the same. These market strategy points are basically just to let you know where Sage is thinking on the futures for this product. So basically to let you know that they're going to be focused on your operational functionality, and they want to improve our position in our value position. So it's just more or less to get you to understand that we are focusing on how your day-to-day operation. We're going to be delivering a unique value for the entire building life cycle. We are one of the few products out there that actually start out with estimating and go through all the way and to project management into your back office accounting. And that will continue. We're going to be building mobile solutions that will set the industry standard, hence our Construction Anywhere solution, which is our cloud-based solution for project management. They're going to be continually adding functions and features to that product for more applications in the future. They're going to be enhancing your existing solutions to maximize your investment. Let you know that we appreciate your investment in our software, and we will continue to make improvements to it to maximize that. We're focused on delivering a software that does more so that you can focus on your business and not on your software. Okay, so now here is the reason for today's session. We're going to be going version 12, accounting and project management enhancements. I'm going to be going back in between the PowerPoint and into the software. So I will go through a few items and go into the software to show them. The first thing you will discover when you install version 12 is that there's been, it looks different. There's been a user interface uplift with different styling. The menus have changed. We've added some features, so your menus, we've added some features to your menus. Your grids for your inputting grids have changed, and then you'll also note your rebranding. This is accounts payable. Notice, again, the coloring has changed, and you'll see the Sage 300 construction and real estate. We are also going to be allowing you to customize this look. You can go into Tools, Customize, change the appearance. I'm choosing this office blue, but you'll have multiple appearances and color schemes. You also can have a custom background. So if you want to put your logo on your screen, you can go ahead and use a bitmap picture, and it will transfer onto your screen. And that's just if you'd like to do that. You'll notice that some of the menus have changed. And as well as your entry grid. One of the things that we've heard a lot is that this grid was always too small. So you're doing a lot of inputting, and when you're selecting, so a lot of our grids have changed to allow a bigger view. If you want to take advantage of these grids, you'll need to change your resolution to 1024 by 768. The payroll time entry grid is another one that it's changed to allow more lines to be visible. Additionally, performance has been, these are some of the things that are going on behind the scenes, performance for tasks and reporting. If you want to have your reports run in a more efficient manner, we can go ahead and run your reports now from your server. You just have to change a few settings within the software again. Going to Tools, Options, and Reports, and creating your remote printer that is attached to your server. Go ahead and add a new your remote printer here. Then you can go into Customize and select the remote print. And this then will allow reports to generate in the background from your server in a more efficient way. A feature that was added that we've heard a lot about is the electronic payment processing. We are now you're now allowed to pay your vendors by EFT. So there will be the system will now generate the EFT for you right from the tasks menu. The vendor record has been enhanced to allow for bank routing information on your vendors. And once you put that in there, then the system will generate your electronic payments. And hence there we have a new menu item for generate electronic payments. The vendor record an electronics payment tab now. And in there, where you put their routing number and their bank account number. When you select payment type, you can choose whether or not they're paid by check or electronic payment. And this will turn on the feature for you. There's been enhancements for those PO and IB users. It is now a direct write to job cost and AP from PO for POs, invoices, and cost entries. There's no more need for importing. And it changes the PO IB menu to just send the entries over to those applications. As you can see, the list for these enhancements for this release is pretty significant, and we're really, really excited about a few things. Inquiry to Excel. Now we are able to take any inquiry and go right into Excel. So if I'm going to just do it from the AP and invoice inquiry. Choose any screen that you would like, and then it will, there is now a button out there, Export to Excel, and this will take it to Excel, maintaining the column headings and the formatting of the inquiry, and populate it into Excel. And there it is.
That's good.
This is one of the things that we had been hearing a lot of people requesting. Okay. Another feature that they've added is the deactivation button. So instead of having to, if you have vendors, especially, that you no longer want to post invoices to, sometimes the vendor name changes and you want to create a different vendor for them, by clicking on the inactive button, this will prevent it from appearing on the list feature within Enter Invoices. You can also use this field for selecting reports. So you don't have to transfer everything to history in order to get the vendor to not appear on your invoice selection. And again, like I said, it can be used in reports and inquiries. Record deactivation. Bing Maps for addresses, for job addresses and vendors. Now you'll see a little globe next to those address fields. If you want to know where they are, click on the globe, and it will bring up a Bing Map.
Mm-hmm.
You are now able to drop and drag email messages into attachments within any of the attachment records, or the attachment fields, I should say, within any of the records. So you know that we've always had the paper clip, and now you can go into the attachment and grab an item and drop and drag it right into the attachment. We are using email as a major source of communication these days, and so we are looking for ways to get a tighter integration between software and Outlook. And I do have to tell you that it's only Outlook mail feature. clicking on there, and the paperclip again becomes available. Another feature is you can now add to your reports, you can add Office Connector templates, any other special reports. This has always been Crystal designed. So now, for those of you that are using Office Connector templates, and everyone does have a starter set, you can add those starter templates as well to the reports menu. Additionally, now, when you use the send feature for those people that are using project management, and as well as any of the applications that allow you to send right from the software, we can store a copy of that email in your Outlook, the default sender's Outlook. And again, that's done under Options, Tools, Options, Mail Settings. Click CC to default sender. And then if you haven't already set up your this feature, this is where you set it up as well. Okay. Moving on. That was the Sage Office Connector Tighter integration. Email copy to default sender. Email addresses have now been added to the vendor, employee, job, and tenant record. For use there, it can be used then by My Assistant for integration to create email directories. In addition to that, it can be used by the HREX e-file center, so they can be notified when their 1099 or their W-2 is ready. And that is to get a change to the vendor record, employee record, job record, and tenant record. And there's the email address. So you no longer have to use custom fields. So I hear everybody clapping in the background. And the biggest enhancement for this release has been the vendor or subcontractor vendor compliance feature. This is a feature that has been enhanced. We've had the ability to check, insurance certificates and lien waivers, but now we are expanding that functionality. So we're going to be tracking lien waivers and other criteria for subcontractor and vendors that have become increasingly complex and critical in the last several years. You want to be able to manage these risks within the software to your comfort level. This is a real risk. The liability is huge for those companies, especially for lien waivers and insurance compliance. As well as we've seen increase now in immigration and customs enforcement requirements, as well as minority contractors. This functionality will affect multiple applications. And some of the features that we can track now with this compliance feature, insurance certificates, W-9, business licenses, we can track things with expiration date, not only receipt of these items, but with an expiration date. Lien waivers, Davis-Bacon reporting requirements, pricing contracts, maintenance contracts, and these are used by our property management customers, permits, drug testing, warranty letters. I mean, the list is kind of endless. Secondary vendors, and any other item that I've not covered. So basically what the takeaway here is that it's a very flexible component of the software, and it's customizable, it's flexible, it's performant, and allows you to be more proactive. All of these things then, for those My Assistant users, can be tied into the My Assistant task setup and sending out the email notifications as well. So I'm going to focus in accounts payable for right now. That's where the major changes have happened for setting up this process. Your AP settings. And now we have a compliance tab. Your compliance settings can be, for lien waivers, you can do conditional and unconditional, and then you can set your warning. Again, in order for the lien waiver portion of this, in order for those lien waivers to be calculated, you still have to set on the vendor and the job and these settings. The major change for lien waivers here is you can determine when the lien waiver is created. It used to only be at invoice payment. Now you choose whether it's invoice posting, invoice payment selection, or invoice payment. You want to enable lien waivers for all vendors based on job compliance settings. That will allow you to let job cost override any default settings you may make here. It's giving you an additional ability to set your parameters for lien waivers. And again, it's the same settings that you can choose to be different than for unconditional. Your warning tolerances can now, for this compliance, can be set by lien waivers, certified reports, insurance, and miscellaneous. Those are the 4 major areas that comprise the compliance setting. And you can display your warning, block payment of invoice. There's your certified reports, and these are for your Davis Beacon certified reports that you want to receive from your vendors. Insurance and miscellaneous. They've set up a miscellaneous for all of the other non-specified here items. So miscellaneous is the grouping that they use for everything else. And this is to allow all those different areas to track for the expiration dates. You will then notice another change in the vendor record. It now has insurance compliance. Your insurance certificates are still there. The change here is we've created 2 additional miscellaneous insurances that you may need to track on a vendor. Your numbers, your dates, your limits. Required per commitment, proof required, override, if you want to be able to override that. And you can change the names here in your custom descriptions. The miscellaneous, now this is again where the create lien waivers on the vendor record is showing, and then for your miscellaneous compliance items, this is a customizable list that can be set up in your custom descriptions. Maintenance contracts, and then you can choose it here, determine the jurisdiction, received, required. You can highlight a row and receive it, or just click on what you've received. You want to require it, required on the job, and required for compliance. This is just going to set sort of the parameters for these items that you're choosing. What I want you to do is take a notice here that, again, you may have some things that you're tracking on your vendors that we haven't specifically mentioned, and this could be the area that you can track them. You also then can attach those documents to the vendor records by using attachments. You can manage the receipt of these under the tasks we have now for subcontractor compliance. one of the things that I will show you here on your invoice selected for payment is that you will now see a C here. This happens to be for compliance. This means that this particular vendor is out of compliance. Clicking on Compliance Management, you will be able to see the details of what is expired. And it will allow you to go into the Compliance Management feature and try to manage those compliances. Choose it by job, and you'll see commitments for that job for this vendor as well as that. You'll be able to choose drop downs whether you want to see outstanding, received, expired, or all. We're also allowing you the ability to track it, to manage it within the entry grid as well as the subcontractor compliance task. This task can be found in accounts payable as well as project management. Again, the four major areas are lien waivers, certified reports, insurance, and miscellaneous. One thing to notice here, the system will automatically generate the requirement for this vendor, for this job, and then you'll be able to track when you've received those reports. This is a certified report center service, and again, you will need to start the service. In order to do that, you would go to your program on your server, and if you're not comfortable doing this, then maybe have your IT person, but it is pretty simple. You go to Sage, Construction Real Estate, Reporting and Other Tools, and Certified Report Service Center. This determines the time. First of all, you're enabling it, and then the time you want it to run. You'll have to put in your server password. But that is so that it will generate then automatically the requirement for the certified reports for the vendors. Or it will create the expectation, if you will, for the report. As you can see that this area is, they've undertaken a lot of research for this and talked to a lot of customers out there. And we see it a lot for the GCs, but we also see it on the sub side or in the property management side to be able to track a lot of information on our vendors. And you'll be able to track and then manage them. And again, each tab has the same pull drop down there for what you want to see. But here, if you go here to just expired, then you would, if they had anything expired, you would see that there. Okay, that's the changes to accounts payable. And another change that has been made, of course, is now to the job record. We've added a job compliance tab. It's very similar in that you are able to determine when you want to create a lien waiver, what type of vendor type. It's still controlling when you create these lien waivers, what value. Additionally here, if you have it on a commitment, this would create the lien waiver. But if they don't have a commitment, what dollar value do you want to generate a lien waiver for? So this is an additional feature here. Day for the certified reports, edit your through date setting, what percentage of completion for final compliance, and if you are monitoring jurisdiction counties, then you can add your counties there. Additionally, through tasks, within job cost or project management into the commitment, you are able to track the insurance certificate as well as a lien waiver. An additional feature that they did enter here now on the commitment side is you're able to record pre-lien. So if you received a pre-lien on this particular commitment, then you're able to record the ability that fact here, as well as the insurance certificates. And it's got 6 types of insurance certificates now that you're able to track. If you want to view what's there from the vendor record, it allows you to do that and allows you to enter insurance certificates received for each individual commitment. And with that, I think we'll start talking about document management. I am going to, Dom, I've unmuted you.
Thank you, Linda. And you'll make me the presenter then?
Yep.
Excellent.
There we go.
Okay, great. So now everyone should be seeing my screen. And what we want to talk about today is, in terms of document management, for those of you out here who do not have document management, we are going to dive into some of the functionality with it. If you have additional questions, just let Linda or I know. We'll be happy to answer those for you. But there's been some major enhancements made to the document management system in terms of routing. In the past, it was always more of a electronic filing cabinet. Now there's been real process that's been built into the system. So it still works very similarly, where whenever I have a document, say I've got this electrical bill that I want to generate and bring into the document management system, just as I would with any document, I can simply go in and hit print. And when I hit print, I choose the DocuVault. That allows me to go ahead and generate that into the document management system. Then I get my typical question here of whose inbox in document management I'd like to send this to. I'm working as the controller, so I'll go ahead and put it there. And I'll tell it here that I want to put it that there's going to be for your information. When I then hit OK, I get the further box that asks me the subject. I'm going to say it's the electrical bill, and I might put in the notes that it's related to a specific job, right? When I hit finish, then what the system does for me is go ahead and generate that into the document management system and into my inbox. So you probably see that progress bar working in the background. So now when I bring up document management, which just runs as part of your normal Sage desktop, it identifies here the different roles that I have. So inside document management, you now are no longer limited to only one role. You've got the ability to go ahead and have multiple roles out there. If I open up the controller, I notice that under action required, I've got 2 items out there. Under for your information, I have 1. They're bolded, and those are the ones that have not been read. When I highlight it, now what the system does is it shows me exactly which file came over. I highlight the file, and I've got my preview window down here at the bottom for me. One of the other major enhancements is in the past there used to be a limit to how big the preview file could be. There was no limit to how much information I could bring in, but the preview itself would be limited. It's no longer limited. So if you've got a 30-page lease document for a tenant, you'll be able to scroll through that entire document before you route it, okay? And then I go into my classification, and I identify my document type. Now, whenever I identify a document type, that's where I go through and I build the actual routing that will happen behind there. So as you can see here, I've identified that it's an accounts payable, that it's an accounts payable invoice type, and with that, it is identifying what date I received it, and I can then go through and put in what vendor it was for. So I can identify here what vendor I want to identify that with inside the accounts payable system. By the way, if you hear beep in the background, I apologize. That's my power surge that is suddenly going off. Then identify the invoice number I want to use and so on. So this is all very similar to what's been in the document management system all along. Obviously from there then I link it to accounts payable and it sends it over to the AP system. What I want to highlight today is the routing that goes with it. And I can set up as many routing types as I would like, and I can also set up as many document types as I would like. So in here I'm saying this is an AP invoice and it's going to be a job level invoice. If it were a property related invoice, I'd have a routing list chosen for that. Notice now down here at the bottom, it's got who's the recipient going to be. And as part of that recipient, I'm going to route it through either the property or project manager based upon the type of invoice that it might be. If I then want to have an alternate that it would go to, so if that person's not available, they're out of the office or whatever the case may be, who should it go to? And then from there, where will it go to next, and where will it ultimately reside? And I've got that with the controller. So it tells me down here at the bottom, final owner is the controller. It gives me the routing status. So in other words, at any point, I can come into the system, bring up the document, see who it's living with, and where it's at that point in time, and what the status is if we're waiting for them. And I simply just hit the route button then to make that happen. So pretty easy, pretty straightforward. One of the other important steps here is to actually show you when you set up that routing, there's a couple other important pieces to it. So I go into my document management settings, and in here, this is where I identify all my document types and users and so on. All I do is go through and pick the routing list that I want, and it's in here then that I can tell it what ways I'd like it to route it. So it's going to be an accounts payable invoice, and I want to build a threshold in here. So as an example, I want it to go to the property or project manager if it's between $1 and $100,000. And then anything over $50,000, I want to go to the owner, and so on, to no maximum. And I want everything to ultimately end up living with the controller. And these are simply just roles that are defined inside your document management system. So once again, people can be parts of multiple roles. And then important steps here are who's the final owner, when is the document originally due. So I've said 7 days. So when it first goes to that project or property manager, they have 7 days to code it and move it along and approve it. And they're going to get a due date alert within 3 days. Now, we then make it expire after 14 days. So if I give it to a property or project manager, they hold on to it for a week, they do nothing with it, the system will prompt them and let them know, that it's hit their due date. And if we utilize my assistant as part of this, we can warn them via email that way. They get 2 weeks to actually do something. If they haven't done anything within 2 weeks, then at that point the document expires and automatically moves on to the next recipient as well. And they do get an alert that the document's going to expire, and in this case I've made it 12 days. So the idea here behind the document routing is to make it user definable, to have threshold amounts built in so that I can route things that are at different levels to different people, and to have an automatic reminder system in place as well. So that is the major change here in document management. Linda, if you don't mind, I'm going to make you the presenter. Will you bring your screen back up so that I can make sure I haven't missed anything else? I think there were a couple other points on the PowerPoint.
Just 1 second. And advance PowerPoint. Anyone see my screen now?
Yes. Okay, so the routing of documents, as we talked about this, we define those by document type. Go ahead and advance it, please. We route them by operator and approvals by different threshold amounts. That's the other important point. I'm glad we came back to this. One of the other major enhancements has been batch approval of emails. So in the background now, the system can automatically send one email to a person to let them know everything that they need to come in and review and approve and advance in the document management system. So no longer will a property or project manager get an invoice individually for every invoice, unless they want it, but they will get one invoice or one email for their batch of items that are out there. Now, I keep talking about AP invoices. Please realize, for those of you that don't use document management, there's many different types of documents. AP invoices happen to be an easy one to talk about. Obviously, leases and property management, maintenance contracts with vendors, tax returns that you want to file, historical financial documents that you want to always keep track of, inspection reports for properties, really anything, because they're user definable. Okay, Linda, would you hit next? And project management has a further enhancement where directly from the project management system, it will send attachments through to document management automatically. So if I'm in and I build a change order inside project management, if I've got document management as well, when I route that change order, when I hit start and tell it to generate it, it will automatically copy it and send it through to the DocuVault and begin to route that document for me as well. And I believe that's it.
Yep. The next thing is questions. I'm going to